What is going on, YouTube? Things by Roma here, coming to you with the ZeroG Mercury 1.1 mod for the Creality Ender 5 Plus. I finally got it up and running. I figured my first print I wanted to be something big, so I chose the Mando helmet just to make sure it was would go good. I did run into a few problems along the way, which made me want to make this video in case anyone else ran into the same problem, particularly getting layer shifts. So I've tried to print this helmet like 4 or 5 times, and it would get to about here, and then I'd start seeing layer shifts, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized it was the voltage and the current to the motors. So let me explain. You can adjust something called the voltage reference, which messes with the current in the math, and it basically messes with the current that goes to the motors. So when you originally buy the Ender 5 Plus, the board has the motors and the current set for the motors that come with the Ender 5 Plus. So here we have NEMA 17 42 by 48 motors on both sides, and those are AB motors now, but just think of them as XY. So over here on the original Ender 5 Plus, this is the X motor, that's the Y motor. This is same motor for Y. It's a Creality NEMA 17 42 by 48, so the exact same that we just saw on the AB motors over here. However, the X motor is much smaller. So when Creality programmed their board over here for the stepper motor drivers, they programmed it to send whatever current is required for that smaller motor, and not the bigger motor. So when I just slapped a bigger motor on without adjusting the voltage on the control board to the stepper motors, it was skipping steps when it was trying to move and couldn't handle it because it wasn't getting enough current. So the motor was missing steps. So once I figured that out, I had to look up what board we were using, which is the Creality 4.2.7 silent board, which has TMC 2225 drivers in standalone mode. And that standalone mode is kind of important because if they were connected in something known as UART mode, which a lot of other boards and stepper drivers are, you can adjust the current and the voltage via the firmware in the Clipper config dock. However, since these are in standalone mode, there's actually a potentiometer right on the control board, which is basically like a variable resistor that you take and you turn it with a little tiny screwdriver, and you use a multimeter to measure the voltage and the current, or the amps, and basically you slowly turn it up until you get to where you want. So I was able to turn this motor down actually, because on the Ender 5 Plus this motor is bigger, so this was actually getting quite hot because the small pancake motor was getting too much current. So I turned this down to actually 0.8, I believe, and now it's running just slightly warm, which is perfect. And the same thing with these. I turned these to 1.8, and they are running perfect, just slightly warm, not getting too hot, not missing any more steps, and it's running great. And I believe the max current for the TMC 2225 drivers is 2 amps. Anyway, so we're approaching the max. Anyway, so I feel like 1.8 is perfect. But just so anyone having issues with layer shifting, I remember when I built my Voron 2.4, was also having the same issues, and I kind of just dealt with it because it only happened every once in a while, so it was probably pretty close to the amps that the motors needed. But now that I realized what was going on, I could have easily just fixed that, because with that I could have done it right through the firmware, real easy. But anyone having issues with layer shifting or missteps, check the Vref, check your current going to your motors. It could be that. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.